All right, rise and shine, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, Cheryl. Hello to Karen as well. I'm Wade Meteorologist Brian. Good. Welcome to Storm Talk, our weather blog here. This streaming, of course, in all of our apps, weather and news, as well as on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV. It's on Twitch as well at the moment. So I appreciate you guys watching. You can comment on our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. All right. So if you hear me referencing some comments, that's where they're at. You can't really see it entirely on streaming until I get a chance to get the video uploaded again coming up in about an hour from now. All right. And we've been going through some changes here with our setup as of late. So the blog will be kind of back and forth the next few days as we are preparing for an exciting new look to things on Monday. All right, for you, those are your big news junkies, and there are a lot of you that are. Make sure to tune in on Monday for a different look that we'll have here at Wave. But at times, I have to sacrifice some of the time here on our system for that to take place. So just kind of FYI. But I promise you won't miss anything that's important. All right, so if it's significant, we'll be on. Don't worry. So what did that mean if you saw the notification that came out about some forecast challenges? Well, there are several starting tomorrow into the extended, certainly. And when we are on TV, of course, during a TV weathercast, we don't have enough time to go into a lot of the details about any forecast challenges. You just want to know, what's it going to do and when and how much, and will it snow? Maybe not the last one, but you're probably thinking it in the back of your mind. But on the blog, we have a chance to go a little further into detail about those challenges, and that's what I like about having the blog. So we have an opportunity to be as transparent as we can with you guys to let you know what we're looking at, what situations could veer off one way or another, and hopefully make you guys kind of some junior meteorologists as well as you're learning from what we're looking at, and give obviously our opinion, our thoughts of where we think things are likely to trend. So I hope that all makes sense. So there's several things I want to cover today. So hello, Dwayne. Hello to Sean and Michelle. Michelle over in Linden. I used to live over in Linden for a while. I used to live over at, was it Cantor Chase Apartments? I think they're still there. I haven't been over in that area in a while, but I used to live over there a long time ago. All right, so let's get right into it. We'll begin with the look outside. Beautiful, right? Cold this morning. We didn't get as cold in Louisville because of the wind as what we could have been. I got to 29 at my house. Ollie got to 32. Several of you were in the 20s, but again, it was cold, don't get me wrong, and the air is so dry, we wouldn't have to worry about any frost or anything like that. Plus, we had some wind, so it was a cold, but not too much of a bothersome morning for us. Today will be a cooler day overall, about 10 degrees shaved off the numbers from what we had yesterday. Still, having said that, we'll have some passing clouds, but highs in the 50s still won't be too shabby. We'll take that. Current numbers right now, 34. So we've gained 2 degrees since sunrise. Still got a few spots at the freezing mark, 36 at Fort Knox and 34 in DeCorden. It is Thursday, so I do at least mention that the drought update came out today. And while we are not really in a drought status, we are getting a little dry, especially between, say, St. Louis into Louisville. We have not seen as much rainfall in a shorter duration period as what we normally would have for this time of year. And that's where this starts to become a little more of a factor. We went through certainly some gains at the start of the year on rainfall. We got out of the drought status that we entered last September. We just need to make sure we don't get back into that at a crucial time in the spring, because that sets the stage for, obviously, the rest of the growing season into the summer. I will say, though, the way the storm track is looking, that likely won't be a problem. We have several storm systems that are lined up. It is basically just a locomotive with all types of cars lined up behind it, and I can't see the caboose just yet. So it's going to be busy for a while. And all these systems rolling through will be spaced out, I would say, roughly about 48 hours or so from each other. And as long as we keep that pacing up, we'll be okay on the drought side. The problem with that is that some of these may have a little bit of a kick to them when it comes to some thunderstorms. And that's something we'll have to take, one step at a time, as we always love to say. Okay, here's the live look right now at the radar and satellite. Of course, the sun just came up, so you're just not able to see the clouds being lit up as I like to look at the visible satellite during the daytime period, of course. And you can see a few high-level clouds overhead. We're going to see more of those today. You do see snow into Illinois and Indiana. Sorry, kids, too dry. We may get clouds streaming off of that today in the area, but we're not going to get any snow out of this system. But it is snowing up to the north, and you can see the developing of the low pressure to the south. And we have two different things happening in the next 36 hours. We have a front that is going to be sinking in from the north, and we have a low pressure that is obviously developing there into Texas, and that is going to be heading to the east. The front's heading to the southeast. They don't really shake hands in phase, so we actually have a chance to get something as far as precipitation, in this case, rain, out of both of them, but they both are not that impressive in terms of moisture. First off, the one to the south is blocking so much of the moisture trying to get into the front to the north that it really kind of just shuts this one down to where it's got a big limit to it. And this one's tracking so far south that all the severe weather and the heaviest of rain is also going to stay on the southern side. So we're not really a good spot to get a decent amount of rain. And dew points right now are actually in the teens, to give you an idea of how dry the air is. So you will likely wake up tomorrow morning, and when you check the wave weather app, you're going to see probably some green patches lighting up on the radar. Majority of that is going to have a very tough time, though, reaching the ground. And that's where we start to enter some of the challenges for tomorrow. Before I get to that, someone said something about snow. You wanted me to talk about snow, didn't you, Christy? I hope you say the snow word in the forecast. Oh, I'm sorry. You hope the word isn't in the forecast. I know what you meant, Christy. No, I don't see that yet being in the forecast. But I tell you who is going to get quite the fun and games out of wintry weather is going to be in the northern plains and in the upper Midwest. It's light snow now. Again, this is the front that's given them some light snow. They already do have winter weather advisories out for that. That's not a big ordeal, right? But notice the winter storm watch that is out into Montana. The system that is going to be arriving for early next week will enter that area first, obviously, over the weekend, and then impact our weather a little more into Monday night and Tuesday. But as it does so, this has got a kick to it. The snowfall forecast, watch how this builds for Sunday into Monday. We're talking about 12, 18, maybe up to 20 inches of snow in some cases falling across portions of Dakotas into Minnesota. And the southern edge of that will actually be potentially an ice storm type of situation. So very much a late season winter storm with high impacts. So if you have friends or family into Minnesota, they've got to be excited because they haven't had too much of a winter like we've been lacking here as well. Of course, winter's over, but you get the idea. But man, this is going to be quite the system. But what is interesting about this is this snowpack that will be laid down for Sunday and Monday will have some influence on some of the low pressures that will be passing by the Ohio Valley. And I think that is going to continue to alter the forecast and extend it. I'm not seeing anything like this coming our way, to be clear. I'm just saying it's going to alter some of the impacts as far as intensity and, of course, the amount of fuel that we'll have for showers and some thunderstorms. But this is an anomaly event. You don't see this too often. So that's the reason why modeling is going to have a little bit of a challenge here on kind of grasping some of the finer details. But what an impressive system. Okay, but before we get to any of that mess, I mentioned that low pressure in Texas today in the front to the north. For the short term, especially for the daytime period on Friday, it's all about that low moving from Texas across into Georgia. As it is moving across the southern states tonight when you're asleep, it will start to throw moisture our way. I mentioned, though, the air is quite dry, and that is leading to two distinctly different outlooks that we will face tomorrow. Let me show you the HRRR model first. As we enter this afternoon, we're fine in the 50s. Clouds increase tonight, maybe slow to increase, but they increase. And because the air is still going to be quite dry, the thermometer has a good chance to get cold again, not to really the freezing mark, but I think 30s are likely, again, for tonight and early tomorrow. Now, once we get into the day on Friday, I mentioned those green blips will start to show up on the radar. The HRRR model doesn't have it. It has the air too dry to even get to the point of getting any precipitation at all, even aloft. It just increases the clouds, and that's it. If that's the case, there will be a few areas where the clouds could even thin, but it's got a 70-degree day coming up for tomorrow, which is nice. Who commented saying I went to 70? Somebody did a second ago. Where are you at? Where are you at? You said I missed the 70s. Anthony, there you are. Anthony Jarvis. Where's my 70s? Well, there you go. The HRRR model likes your idea, Anthony, of 70s showing up tomorrow. But And actually, some of the other high-res models I've looked at have got 78, 79 showing up in a few cases between Louisville and Evansville. Could be a bonus day of warm weather. I like that. It does try to build in some of the rain later in the day into the night. Now, when you get into late Friday night, you start to see the two influences. There's the front now showing up. And again, the north edge of the low pressure. Again, they don't completely shake hands, but you get the idea that they're trying to increase some of the showers as we head into late Friday night, early Saturday. And it should clear the area early on Saturday morning, ending any precipitation chance near sunrise, if not sooner than that. But with gusty winds and cold weather flowing into the area on Saturday. Even though the sun's going to be coming out on Saturday, the wind is going to be a cold wind. So the wind chills will stay in the 40s all day long on Saturday. So just kind of a heads up. It's not a huge weather disruptor, just as far as what you need to keep in mind what to wear on Saturday. If you're heading to Bachfest, to see the racing of the goats, dress warmly for that. Now let me show you a different idea. This is the NAM. About the same time I just showed you that the HER had 71 degrees in Louisville, it has us at 47 degrees tomorrow and really doesn't want to warm us much more, generally 50s. So what's the deal? Well, a couple of things. The biggest issue here is, again, that dry air. What will likely happen is you get the increase in clouds, you're going to get moisture aloft that will break out. If we have enough moisture that tries to move in, especially a little pocket or a bubble of moisture that moves in over Kentucky, you actually end up with the dry air allowing that to evaporate as it falls from the cloud. Evaporation is a cooling process. So as that happens, the air actually cools down. The thermometer will fall or may not move much at all. And that's the biggest difference in the modeling that we got at the moment. Some have a little more moisture in the air that can evaporate. Therefore, the thermometer struggles tomorrow in the 40s and 50s. But surrounding wherever that pocket of clouds and moisture is, easily can get into the 70s. So there is a high bust potential in the forecast tomorrow. We hate ever saying that, and we never like to be in that situation, especially 24 hours away. But I just want to be very transparent with you guys. There is potential to get a bonus day out of this tomorrow. But I've seen this play out many times before when you get what we call virga, which is the rainfall or precipitation that's not reaching the ground, that will evaporate. And I have seen it cool the air down. And if you block a March sun, you can stay chilly. But the sun angle in late March is getting higher. So if you can get rid of that and get just a little bit of thinning, just a few sun rays, you can really overachieve on some of the temperatures on the thermometer side. So there are some challenges here tomorrow. Nothing severe coming our way tomorrow, anything like that. I just wouldn't be too impressed on the rain side. Rain amounts are not going to be impressive at all. But I think the temperature forecast is the biggest issue that we'll have to fine tune. I'm hoping that the midday data that comes in today will better fine tune some of this so we can get an idea of where to put our actual numbers. I think right now, Carson had us at about 60 for high tomorrow. That's about the middle of the road, to be honest, right? 60, but it won't be the same number for all areas just because of where those green blotches form. There will be a bit of a suppression on the temperature. All right. Type 11, if everybody understands that. Type 11, everybody's good. All right. I'll be looking for the 11s as I move on. As I mentioned, that rain chance will continue as we head into Friday night, early Saturday, and then, again, that chilly air as we head into Saturday afternoon. Right now, the NAM especially only has us in the 40s for highs. I think we'll get into the 50s on Saturday, but it will not feel like it with that wind at times over 30 miles per hour. All right. I see all the 11s looking good there. Dan, what was your question? Heading to Birmingham for a wedding on Saturday, looking for a rainy drive. Hope it's pushed out by Saturday. Yeah, you'll have some rain, but overall, it's you really won't get into the more moderate phase of that until you get almost to Birmingham. So it is going to be rather patchy. And again, the dry air does go fairly far to the south. So there's a lot of cities facing the same issue that we are with the setup there. All right. So that's the first forecast challenge we got. Oh, here's the rainfall. This is the Euro, by the way. I just want to throw out some numbers. I don't know if we're going to get a quarter of an inch of rain out of that. That seems a little high. I think there's going to be some of you that won't get anything in your rain gauge. But I think up to 0.2, I think it's fair in a few cases, especially as the air saturates. Whenever you start to see rain increase like that on the radar tomorrow morning, eventually, if it keeps happening, if you keep getting constant green blobs moving in out of Tennessee into central Kentucky, eventually you do saturate the air and rain will make it to the ground. So as the day wears on, your ability to see raindrops falling and using the windshield wipers will start to go up, but it may take until Friday night in some cases. But what I'm trying to say is that much of the daytime period, much of the beginning phase of that rain is going to be sacrificed on evaporating. Okay, let's move on from that. That's boring, right? So we get into the weekend. I mentioned Saturday looks good. Sunday actually will be the better of the 2 days. A warmer day. Clouds will increase as the day wears on. So it'll kind of be flipped from Saturday. Saturday goes cloudy to sunny. Sunday goes sunny to cloudy. So kind of flip-flop, but you get the general idea. But we get into next week, and this is where we run into more problems. And I'm going to show you the two main models that we look at and explain the main differences here. Here's the Euro as we head into Saturday and Sunday. I mentioned the system that moves in across Montana. Here we go with the winter storm of 2024 from Minnesota. There's your severe risk showing up in the plains, at least your fuel for thunderstorms. What is very interesting about this system is that because we've had such a strong front moving the area on Saturday with another reinforcing shot of dry air that pushes basically like this, pushes all the way down into the Appalachians. And we have a low pressure that's going to be basically blocking out here into the Atlantic with basically a very amplified setup where you got dry air over here. You've got a very narrow ribbon of very impressive moisture that feeds the thunderstorms and the heavy snow. And then you're back to dry air again west of that. So that leads to just a very narrow corridor where you can get thunderstorms. So that's a bit of a difference. And normally when we see this kind of a system, and look at that dig. I mean, that is a very impressive dig of that jet as we head into Monday, especially. Normally we see that and we're thinking, oh, wow, we're going to have one heck of a warm sector developing in the Ohio Valley, and this would scream a tornado outbreak. At least on paper, that's the way it would look. But again, with the dry air that's still sitting over us, even Monday afternoon, that only allows for just a very small section to have enough moisture to feed back up the Mississippi to allow for heavy rain and let alone thunderstorms. And in this case, that usually is not enough time to get thunderstorms to really ramp up. So that's our saving grace. And that's why we do not have an alert day yet for severe weather early next week. We're not outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, the modeling is even indicating severe weather for that very reason. It's the idea we just don't have a ton of moisture and fuel long enough to create a problem. That's fine. We just need some rain. We don't want all the drama with that. The wind will ramp up as well, but I think one of the bigger issues is after this moves on by, and I think, again, this will be Monday night by the time this arrives. We could score a bonus day Monday on warm weather and being dry. It will be cloudy, but warm and windy. The rain will likely hold off until about midnight or after, and then we'll put the rain into Tuesday. But the other issue we got to watch is because this is such a dramatic drop into the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, when you get what we call a baroclinic zone, which is where your temperatures go from warm to cold in a very rapid pace over a short amount of distance, we call that a baroclinic zone. That can induce a storm to develop. When you get that close to a moisture source, especially something like the Gulf of Mexico, you're going to want to, the atmosphere is, allow for a new low pressure to develop. It's going to react to that cold air pushing in. And this is where we have a low to the north that's producing the big snow in Minnesota, and we have a new low developing to the south. So this is where we get to the next big challenge in the extended outlook. We know that the rain and thunder will move in Monday night and Tuesday, but if a new low develops in Louisiana, will that head east? And that would be really it for the first part of the week. No big problems. Keeps all the rain south. Or because of the blocking that's going on, will that new low develop and actually track basically due north right into Kentucky and keep the rain chance going into another 24 hours? Then we will be looking at more of a heavy rain scenario. That is certainly possible. And meteorologically, it would make sense that that would happen. Initially, it looked like there would be enough cold air that if a new low formed, it would try to pull down something a little more wintry that would try to develop into the Ohio Valley. I don't see this setup doing that for early next week. I don't think it's extreme enough to allow that to happen. If it were a little earlier in the season or more into winter, maybe. But in this case, I don't see that happening. We'll watch this because this thing's got a lot of wind energy. We do see wind gusts that can get up to 40 miles per hour as we head into Monday night and Tuesday, especially if we get a little bit of breaks in the clouds on Tuesday. But we do not see enough fuel for severe weather. If we start to see fuel start to go up, though, in the modeling, and sometimes the models don't see it until we get closer, prepare for a rapid change in the tone in the setup here for us, especially on Tuesday. It moves on by, and we don't have much of a break. Another one moves in. This one is, I'll tell you what, it's a potent little booger that moves across the plains near Easter. And this one will likely have snow with it again and some severe weather, but the wobbling effect on this one is a challenge. Some bring it all the way down to the Ohio Valley. Some keep it to our north. This one may have a bit more of a colder look to it near Easter itself. And that's all I can say on that for now. You can read between the lines on that one. Now let me show you the GFS. GFS, similar to START, again, has the snow breaking out in Minnesota, storms developing into Texas and Oklahoma, and that's where your severe will be. And then it starts to want to develop that low right in here into Louisiana, and it brings it right over us as we head into Wednesday. Now we're dealing with the heavy rain scenario. So instead of the low heading east like the Euro does, it pulls it right in. We end up with about a good 2-day window of heavy rain and wind. Yeah, I know. I see a little bit of snow showing up on that northwest side. Again, that's possible with that track, but that would be out of our area as far as that is concerned. And then we'll deal with the low pressure also moving in later in the week, getting closer to Easter. Same scenario. It'll have snow with it and likely some thunderstorms on the southern side, leading to problems for that next weekend. And I see this keep repeating itself as we head all the way through the end of the month into early April. And we got the eclipse coming up on the 8th. It's all about timing, guys. They're all stacked. All these lows are, but they do have 48-hour gaps in some cases here. So if we can fit April 8th in one of those gaps, we're golden. We're good, at least on dry weather. I don't know if we'll get clear skies, but that's step one. But we've got to get in that gap. If we don't, and these keep timing out like they're trying to do, then we may have a bigger issue on eclipse day. Someone asked about the summer. Right now, I think it's hard to tell in the summer outlook because we're switching from El Nino to La Nina, and it's going to be fairly rapid. So a lot of unknowns on that. Usually we can get a lot of severe weather when we see that flip happen. So if that's the case, we could be busy with severe weather in April all the way through Derby and Mother's Day, but it would limit cold air. After this Easter chill that I see showing up, we may be out of the woods on that and start getting to a warmer ideas for the rest of the season, but that would lead to problems when it comes to heavy rain and thunderstorms, obviously. All right, I hope that all made sense. I went a little long today because I feel like I haven't had a chance to go in a lot of detail, and it's very complex. And that's just, again, I'm not going really out of the realm of the 10-day outlook. This is all within our 10-day outlook, the challenges that we're looking at. So you're going to constantly probably see the 10-day just keep adjusting and changing as we get a little more confidence in one scenario or another. Hi, Ashley. Do you think we get severe weather Monday? I think we'll stay tame. Again, Monday, I think we're fine. The question will be Tuesday. And right now it's scheduled to arrive Tuesday morning. And you guys know when you get early morning stuff, you're not usually going to have a lot of fuel because of timing of the day. So that will keep things tame. If the sun were to try to come out Tuesday afternoon, maybe some thunderstorms could try to fire Tuesday afternoon. So I think Tuesday is more of an issue to watch than Monday will be. But right now, we do not see anything that is screaming fuel being added into the mix, only because that new low that tries to form in Louisiana is kind of throwing everything off. If we just had the front only, it'd be a little easier. But if a new low forms, that just kind of disrupts everything. And you end up more with a heavy rain scenario instead of severe weather. So the new low will help things out. So hope for that, Ashley. Short recap, Alan, warm, cold, maybe rain. Let's see, Travis, more cold shots in early April. I do think we'll get that for around Easter, close to the end of March and early April, but I don't know if we're going to get them all the way into the Ohio Valley or not. I think it's going to be very dynamic. I think the Midwest, Minnesota, may be one of the snow capitals for a while. They may be dealing with snow for much of the spring season. So for what they were lacking in the winter, the Midwest may be making up for the next few weeks, which is going to, again, create problems, though, for the deep south and the Ohio Valley in terms of severe weather, because you're getting cold pockets like that in that area of the country, and we're going to try to warm up here. That's going to lead to problems. So that's why current thoughts are that we're going to be busy. We're going to be busier than we probably have been for the past few spring seasons. Everyone good? I think everyone's good. All right. Well, I got to run. I'm sorry, I just rambled forever, but I got to get ready for the show, and obviously, I need to look at more of the data for tomorrow to figure out if we're going to be near 80 or near 50 for a high. So my hair is getting grayer by the hour by looking at that outlook. Appreciate you guys as always watching. I'll have more on midday, and stay tuned for forecast. Otherwise, a beautiful day today, just a little cooler, but it will be pretty outside. See you soon.